The scorching afternoon sun shimmered over the vast Everwood Ranch, its white fences stretching for miles, enclosing emerald pastures and powerfully built horses that galloped like living thunder. At the center of the ranch stood its most prized and feared possession, a black stallion named Tempest, known for throwing off every rider who dared mount him. Billionaire Jackson Reeve, owner of the estate, leaned against a polished fence post, his designer sunglasses reflecting the nervous laughter of ranch workers gathered around. They weren't expecting a miracle today, just some entertainment. From the dusty road emerged a slight figure, a young girl, no older than 13, with uncombed hair, oversized boots, and a worn-out backpack. Her name was Lily. She didn't speak much and didn't look anyone in the eye. In her hand, she clutched a tattered notebook filled with drawings. No one knew who she was or why she had come. She says she wants to calm Tempest, one worker said with a smirk, barely hiding his amusement. Jackson arched a brow, chuckling. You're kidding me. This little girl. Tempest will trample her dreams in seconds. Let her try. I could use a laugh. The laughter that followed echoed across the open field, loud and cutting, but Lily didn't flinch. She just walked forward slowly, her eyes not on the people, but fixed intently on the wild stallion snorting at the far end of the paddock. She stopped at the gate, her lips moving slightly, not in speech, but like she was reciting something only she could. Here, the air grew strangely still, the mockery fading into awkward silence. Jackson watched, curious despite himself, and for the first time in a long while, the ranch felt different, like something no one could explain was about to begin. The sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky as Lily stepped through the paddock gate. Everyone watched in stillness, not out of hope, but disbelief. The stallion, Tempest, stood tall and restless, his black coat glistening with sweat hooves, stomping the ground with a thunderous rhythm. He was more force of nature than horse, and yet Lily didn't flinch. She didn't shout commands or wave her arms. She didn't try to touch him. Instead, she slowly lowered herself onto the ground, cross-legged, just meters away. Then, with practiced ease, she opened her old worn notebook and began to draw in the dirt with a stick, quiet lines, gentle strokes, images only she understood. Tempest watched her, his nostrils flared, ears twitching. He snorted again, agitated, but he didn't charge. Lily kept her gaze down, not challenging, not afraid. Jackson leaned against the fence, puzzled now. What is she doing? He muttered. Maybe she's lost it, someone whispered, but Lily kept drawing, sketching a horse, then another, then a girl standing calmly beside them. Her breathing was even rhythmic, like a whispering breeze, and then, as if pulled by some invisible thread, the stallion took a step forward. Another dot, then another. He stopped just short of her, lowering his massive head to sniff the drawing. The whole ranch held its breath. Lily smiled softly, barely looking up, and whispered, "It's okay. I see you." Tempest blinked slowly. For a moment, man and beast, or rather, girl and stallion, existed in a silent language no one else could understand, and Jackson, for the first time in his life, was speechless. The following days were unlike anything the ranch had ever seen. Every morning, Lily arrived just after sunrise, sometimes with her sketchbook, other times with nothing at all but a quiet resolve in her steps. She never demanded anything from Tempest. She didn't bribe him with treats or break him with force. She simply existed in his space, calm, patient, consistent. Tempest, once uncontrollable, began to change. His aggression dulled, his eyes softened. He waited for Lily. Sometimes he followed her around like a curious dog, nudging her side gently. Other times he stood beside her, still and peaceful, as if soaking in the quiet. Jackson watched all of this unfold from a distance, the wraparound balcony of his estate or the windows of his luxury office. At first he assumed it was luck, then a phase. But as day turned to day, and the horse that had broken men with world titles began to act like a docile companion around a 13-year-old girl, the laughter in Jackson's throat turned into knots in his chest. Then came the 5th day. Lily stood beside Tempest and softly placed her hand on his neck. The stallion didn't pull back. He lowered his head, resting it against her shoulder. Gasps erupted from the workers nearby. Jackson stood, frozen, disbelief painted across his face. He climbed down the stairs, walking slowly toward the two. As he reached for Tempest's reins, the horse instantly reared, whinnying and jerking back. While Jackson backed off, Lily turned to him, meeting his eyes for the first time. Her voice was soft but steady. He doesn't want to be controlled. He wants to be understood. Jackson said nothing, her words simple, quiet. hit him harder than any fall ever could. That night, Jackson sat alone in his study. The usual buzz of emails, calls, and meetings faded to silence. He looked through dusty photo albums, ones he hadn't touched in years. Images of a boy on a pony, his mother smiling, always encouraging him to connect with animals, not conquer them. But over the years, Jackson had replaced connection with competition. He built empires, not relationships. His heart, once wide open, had been buried under gold and ego. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Jackson made his way to the paddock. Lily was already there, sitting on the fence, humming quietly as Tempest nuzzled her hand. She didn't acknowledge Jackson as he approached. He stood quietly for a moment before speaking. "I laughed at you," he said, voice heavier than she'd ever heard. "I thought you were foolish, weak even." Lily didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her silence said more than words ever could. Jackson took a breath. "But you did what no one else could, not even me." Still no response. Only the rhythm of her gentle breathing. Then, finally, she looked at him and gave the smallest of smiles. It was pure, unguarded, and for a moment, Jackson felt like a little boy again, full of wonder and longing. "Would you?" He hesitated. "Teach me." She looked at Tempest, then back at Jackson, and gave a tiny nod. And in that quiet moment, a billionaire asked for help from a girl the world ignored. And the girl, in her gentle grace, chose to forgive and to lead. Months passed, and the ranch became something it had never been before. Not just a place for elite horses, but a sanctuary for healing. Jackson funded the transformation with quiet determination, not for publicity, but to honor the girl who changed everything. He named it Lily's Way. Children from across the country began arriving. Some autistic, some anxious, others simply lost in a noisy world. They didn't need to speak, perform, or prove anything. They just had to show up, and the horses and Lily did the rest. Lily became a quiet icon, her connection with animals forming the foundation of a therapy program that brought peace to dozens of children. Jackson, always nearby, but never overpowering, began learning too, not just about horses, but about humility, kindness, and listening. On the day of the grand opening, a local news crew came to cover the story. A crowd gathered. Jackson stood on stage, but for once, he wasn't the center. All eyes were on Lily, who gently led Tempest out of the stable, calm and majestic beside her. "She reminded me," Jackson said into the microphone, voice wavering, "that power doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding." As Lily placed a garland around Tempest's neck, the crowd rose to their feet, not in awe of wealth or fame, but in gratitude for a young girl who changed hearts by simply being herself. And in that moment, under the golden light of the setting sun, hope was reborn, one quiet step at a time.